I'm going to share with you two scenarios that are going to seem unrelated, but you'll find that they are not by the end of the video. So, scenario number one is related to the video I just did on why women cheat and strategic pluralism. And then, inevitably, I always get this question asked of me when I talk about the primary reasons a girl will cheat. And that primary reason, if you didn't see the video, but you can click a link to go watch it, that primary reason is sex. The reason she cheats is because she wants to have sex with a guy, and the sex she perceives with that other guy is going to be better than the sex she's having with you. And so women cheat because they want better sex with a guy. Okay, that fits in line with strategic pluralism and why women tend to do that. And you can watch that video for that explanation. But then I inevitably will always get the question, and this is scenario one, which is, but Paul, my girl that cheated on me, or we broke up, and then she was sleeping with a guy like a week or two later, and he's not as attractive as me. Like, he's not as dominant. He's not this. He's more of the nice guy. He's physically less attractive. Like, how come she cheated if most girls are cheating because they're looking for that better genetic option to cheat with? Why did my girl, get with this other guy? And this other guy isn't that attractive. And guys will assure me, but I was the best sex she's ever had. All right. And so that's one scenario. Okay. Why would she cheat on somebody if the guy at home is more attractive? It has to do with why she doesn't want to be with you, according to the title. It has to do with female mate selection. Now let's look at scenario number two, which is you've gone on 3 dates with a girl and things are going well, and she's been kissing you and she's been close to you, and there seems to be a romantic connection, but she's not sleeping with you yet. She's not having sex with you yet. And you're pretty sure that she's had sex with other people on a first or second date before in her life. But for some reason, she's gone to 3 dates with you and she's not having sex. And now what should you do? Should you assume she's not attracted to you? Should you next her? Why doesn't she want to be with you? All right. And that's it. Why doesn't the girl want to be with a guy sexually who she seems to like and is dating, but they're on their third or fourth date? No, nothing's happening. Why does the girl who is supposedly with her sexual best cheat on that guy and end up not wanting to be with him? So what this has to do with is female mate selection and the universal law, I'll call it, of female selection. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Paul, behavioral and mental performance expert. And today's topic is going to be why she won't sleep with you. All right. We're going to address both the cheating scenario from my last video, as well as just reasons women aren't selecting a guy. And we can look towards what I think is more of a unifying theory than some of the theories that are out there. And so now we move to more of this unifying theory, the universal law of female sexual selection. Now, this comes from me. This is something that it's not really a law yet. That would be nice if it was. There needs to be some papers written on it. Some researchers need to take up the offer to go down the pathway. But this is what is true. And I have experience coaching, hundreds, over 1,000 guys, hundreds of people, to include women, on relationship related issues. I know and I see why women are selecting men. And there's only really one universal thing that we can look at. And that's what I call the inherent cost benefit analysis. Now, this is related to Briffault's law, which I didn't make up. That was made up a long time ago by a scientist named Robert Briffault. And Briffault's law states the female, not the male, determines all of the conditions of the animal family, where the female can derive no benefit from association with the male. no such association takes place. So Brafalt's law is really valuable in understanding why women do what they do. And that's what led me to develop this universal law of female sexual selection. And if I'm going to be fair, it's really, you could call it a universal hypothesis, right? Because it hasn't been fully vetted out with scientific community yet. But regardless, I believe this is true. That you'll see that this universal hypothesis plays itself out with how women select mates in their sexual behavior. Okay. And so, what that states is a woman's decision to have sex is a pragmatic, yet subjective and emotionally driven risk reward equation. When the reward or advantages of sex are perceived as higher than the risk or consequences, she will then mate. When the risk or consequences are perceived as greater than the reward or advantages, willing sex will not occur. It's a cost benefit analysis. If she perceives emotionally and mentally that sleeping with a guy is going to be better for her in that moment, it's very subjective, then she will see, and that sleeping with that guy outweighs the risk that she perceives or the cost, she will sleep with them. It doesn't matter if she's married or not married or single or on her first date or on her third date or whether she's cheating or not cheating. Her decision to mate is based on whether she perceives the benefit or reward as higher than the risk or cost. And when she doesn't sleep with a guy, it's because the reward is not higher than the risk or cost. So let's look at scenarios where that plays itself out. And this is going to help some of you guys who pushed back a little bit on my cheating video because you know that you're the sexual best for the girl that cheated on you, hands down, no questions asked, right? And you couldn't figure that one out. That doesn't seem to work. Why would she cheat with this other guy? And all the stuff that you guys tell yourself. Now, I don't mean to be rude, but you know, the ego protection in the stories that guys tell themselves. I mean, come on, guys, right? Like, y'all know that some of you guys BS yourselves, right? So let's talk about cheating now. Okay. About 80% of the time, if somebody got cheated on, it's because the sex was better with the other guy, or she at least perceived the sex would be better than with the other guy. If she only slept with a guy like once while she was drunk, well, then at the time that she was drunk, she perceived that sex was going to be good with that guy, better than with you. And so she went with it. And if she didn't continue to sleep with him, then maybe it wasn't as good as she thought it would be. But if she was sleeping with somebody on the side for weeks and months, if she did it more than one time with that guy, she was enjoying herself sexually with that guy. She was getting something out of it. She was enjoying it, and she was enjoying that sex more than the sex she wasn't having with you at home. I hate to be blunt, but you guys lie to yourselves. The male fragile ego that you guys are constantly protecting, and I say you guys, this is like 80% of you out there, right? 8 out of 10 of you guys are constantly protecting your little fragile egos. And you make stupid decisions with women because your ego won't let you see your own deficiencies. And you can't see where you need to fix things, improve things. Most of you guys need to fix your seduction skills, need to fix your shit in the bedroom. Most of you guys are bad lays. All right. Most of you guys suck in the bedroom and you can't put it down on your girl. I'm sorry. That's the way it is. And now everybody click off the video. I don't want to hear it. Like, here, cover my ears. I don't want to hear it. The bad man saying bad things about my wiener. Listen, it's just the reality of it. Okay. You suck in the bedroom. And it's not because of your wiener. It's because your seduction skills are not up to par. It's not about what your equipment is or necessarily what you're doing with that as much as it's about the psychology behind what you're doing. And so that's what most of you guys are missing. 8 out of 10 of you that have been cheated on, she slept with somebody else because she perceived the sex would be better there. That is 8 out of 10. Now, you might be that 20% guy. You might be the 2 out of 10 where that's not true. But I'm talking to hold that thought. I'm talking to the 8 out of 10 of you right now that lie to yourself. All right. Because the amount of times that I hear bullshit, all right, because I coach you guys. I talk to you guys. I talk to dudes, right? And I help guys with problems and I help guys get better relationships, which, by the way, I'm just going to plug it. Join the community. It's free. Click the link in the description and start asking questions. Start posting on the forum. Okay. Start getting some help. That part can start for free in the community. And if you never pay me a dime for coaching, at least you have this channel for free. You can subscribe, like to help support me. And you have my community that's free where you can get advice. And all it is a click away right now. Okay. So right now, in fact, pause the video, go click on that link, sign up. You'll get a newsletter that tells you how to cheat proof your relationship, which is super valuable. Depending on when this video airs, I got Sexpionage 2.0 coming up. You want to sign up for that, you have all the opportunity to do that within the community. Okay. So like there's all these opportunities there for you to up your psychological game. Okay. Because your seduction skills need to improve. Chances are some of you guys, yeah, okay, you're not the majority of you guys listening to me. The majority of you guys could improve. First of all, every one of you could improve at least one thing or something in your seduction skills. I'm always improving myself, and I'm the damn expert that teaches the shit. So I know you can improve, right? I'm always learning from people. Okay, so and I'm always getting feedback and seeing the research and trying to improve my game. You could do that too. And some of you guys really need to do that because your girls are not having the best sex with you. Okay. And that opens you up to having terrible relationships. If the sex isn't the best, it's a terrible relationship. That is, I've come to find that out through all of my years of doing this, not just my personal experiences. That is what it has to be. Okay. And it's not hard to become that. Don't listen to the internet with their bad advice to tell you to make you feel bad about yourself and to tell you that you can't do it. And, the magical Chad and Tyrone, he's going to swoop in there and screw your girl and you'll never compete. That's all BS because it's not just looks and it's not just your equipment. Okay. Those are a small part of the equation. Most of it is your seduction skills and how you make the girl feel. And if you can make the girl feel amazing and have an intense experience, you'll be the best. Doesn't matter if she was with Super Chad and Tyrone in college getting Eiffel Towered and they're high-fiving each other. That doesn't matter. You can be the best. You have to learn the skills. Okay, so that being said, now what about that other 20%? That you do exist. Okay, I understand. Sometimes a girl does cheat, and it's not because the guy was perceived as being the better lay. Okay, or as strategic pluralism would say, the better genetic option. Okay, sometimes that is true. Okay, not true most of the time, but 2 out of 10. So that's a pretty good amount. And so let's look at that. And this is girls who not only cheat, but who just switch to another guy. And so what do we see in that case? Well, this is where the mate switching hypothesis may be true. And this is why I would err more on the side of the cost benefit analysis of the universal hypothesis of female mate selection that I presented as far as a unifying theory versus trying to say, well, strategic pluralism or mate switching or revenge cheating or something else, right? And so it's because women are sexual opportunists. And that's something I learned a very long time ago. And, I keep coming back to that. Both men and women, we're all sexual opportunists. We're looking for the best opportunities for ourselves when it comes to mating. And sometimes our short-term opportunities don't match with our long-term ones. And we have to make decisions. And women are making those decisions. It's a cost benefit analysis based on how she feels. Okay, not based on logic, but based on how she feels. And that drives whether or not she sleeps with somebody or not. Now, sometimes, though, she's in a relationship with a guy who is the best sex that she's having, but there's something else that's missing, or she's angry and frustrated with that guy for some reason. Yeah, or she just, maybe the guy is a great lay, but not a good provider, or not very loyal, or maybe he is abusive, right? Some of these things that could happen. And then the girl ends up leaving him to go for a safer partner who might not be the sexual best, but is somebody that she perceives as better for long term provisioning or long term caretaking of children or just long term success. And this is strategic pluralism too. It's just working the opposite direction because the guy she's with in the relationship now becomes the genetic alpha male, so to speak, that she likes having sex with, but she can't stay with him. He's not a more attractive long term partner because he can't be that guy for her. So she ends up switching for the guy that signals more long term security. Now, because I drive men to do better in my coaching, guys who sign up for my coaching programs tend to be more dominant, we could say alpha type males, whether they know it or not. Some guys have it in them. They just need that boost of confidence, but I don't have losers in my community. I just want to say that. Even though I'm saying sign up for free and potentially a loser could get in there, okay, most losers won't even press the link. They won't sign up. They won't do shit to help themselves. That's the definition of them being a loser. And most people who are out there in the dating market don't know anything. They don't know shit. And that's why they have terrible experiences in relationships. So they don't even watch my content. What they do is they go find somebody else who's going to jerk them off and pat them on the head and stroke their ego. Most guys, okay, are so invested in their egos and not invested in fixing anything. And that's the guy you're gonna go on that guy's channel. You're gonna watch him in his cool car or something and listen to his speech on how to be a man, or you're going to go listen to that guy who seems like a, or girl that seems like a psychologist and she's going to tell you whatever. You're going to gravitate to stuff and they're just going to they're going to stroke your ego, and then those guys are going to feel good about it, and then they're going to change nothing and still do terrible, right? That's like what people do. Now guys that come to me, they actually are, they're determined to fix some things. They're relentless. They don't take no for an answer. So I tend to get more of that dominant guy. So my clientele, I get a higher percentage of guys who are the genetic alpha, so to speak, to use that language, who are the genetic sexual choice, who they are delivering good sex, and part of it's because they're willing to learn from me how they had the mindset to learn. And then they start taking and picking up resources that I tell them to pick up. They start listening to what I say. Their game dials in. They're now good at sex, right? And so they're delivering that stuff. And then what could happen is there's a breakup or a cheating or whatever, and then the girl goes with the less, the less sexually attractive partner, the person who is not as good of a lover, so to speak. She ends up going with that guy. It's strategic pluralism, but in reversed. He might be missing things for her. And often what that would be nurturing qualities. Maybe his goals don't align with hers. He's not willing to get married or have kids, maybe. And she wants somebody who is willing to do that. And so she ends up switching for that guy. Right. So this guy, that could be a lot of my clients, they're more harder to control because they're more of that dominant male, and they're more sexually viable, and they deliver good sex to the girl they're with. So he's the best sexual choice, but then the girl cheats or does switch with that guy who is more of a long-term partner choice, right? So what do we have there when that does happen? There's actually two reasons why it could happen. That's one reason, long-term partner choice. The guy that she's with, she can't get him to be the good long-term partner. So she cheats or switches or mate switches or breaks up and then goes with another guy who is a better long-term choice, even though he might not be as attractive, even though he might not be as good for her in the bedroom. Women make that decision all the time. Okay, so they don't always make that decision cheating, but when they mate switch and break up and go to another guy, I would say they more often make that decision. And they need to do that study because see, I'm not on the research side. So they need to do that study because I think what they'll find is women have a guy in their past. Well, I know they actually have done the study with married women that women have a guy, most married women, it's like 70 some percent, have a guy in their past that was the better lover. And she settled with a guy who is not as good of a lover, not as good for her sexually, but who's a better long term partner because he had more nurturing qualities. He's easier to control, some of those things, right? And so we know that that happens. There is data on that. They need to do some more data and research to make it more current. But, that's strategic pluralism going in the other direction. It's still a dualistic strategy. She's looking to settle down. She gets with that guy. And then, if that guy, after that relationship gets boring, she starts to wonder about hooking up with somebody else in a cheating scenario. But regardless, she perceives the benefits of being with the better long-term option as being greater than the rewards of sex with the better lay. So she has to leave the guy or cheat even on the guy who's the better lay in order to secure the long-term partner. This is mate switching theory now. It does happen. It's just not as high percentages when it comes to cheating, at least, as the strategic pluralism. Most women who cheat are looking to get their sexual thrills with somebody and stay in the relationship. And it stands to reason that most girls who break up are looking for a better long-term choice, even if, regardless of who the guy was that they were with previously. And so maybe it's because of the sex, or maybe it's because of she just needs to find a better long-term choice. So we see that breakup happening with guy where she breaks up with a guy because she wants to seek out better sex in this relationship. She's not getting her sexual needs met. But we also see it happen a lot of times where the sex is good, good enough, or even the best sex she could have, but she just can't get him to be the long-term partner that she would want for whatever reason. And so now she is breaking up or switching or whatever. All of this boils down to, though, that universal law, right? All of this boils down to that hypothesis of female sexual selection, that unifying theory. It has to do with that cost-benefit analysis. If she perceives the benefits of sleeping with the long-term provisioning guy and securing him is better than, the benefits of sleeping with the guy who's the better sex, she's going to go with that other guy, right? If it's vice versa, she'll do vice versa. If she can get away with both, if she can get good sex from the ex that she really gets good sex from and fool the guy that she's going to marry, right? And stick with the provisioner, women will do that. Okay. If they perceive the benefit outweighing the cost, they will cheat and they'll sleep with the ex. They'll sleep with the better mate choice or whatever for genetic, their sexual needs, and then continue to lie and deceive the long-term partner. Now, if a girl, let's say she's a church girl and she grew up with a good family and she doesn't want to be a liar and a cheater, there's plenty of girls like that. Their perception is going to be different in the cost-benefit equation. A girl with certain morals and values might perceive cheating as a much greater cost because it could cause her to lose both guys, right? It could cause her to lose everything that she's working for or whatever her perceptions are. And so if she perceives that cheating as a greater cost, guess what? She's not going to cheat. So now moving to our two scenarios. Guy who says, I know I'm her sexual best and she cheated, with a guy who's, was a better listener and a better, whatever, like who would give her what she wants emotionally. Yeah, that does happen. All right. And if that truly is you and you're not lying to yourself, well, it's this law of sexual selection. She perceived the benefits and potentially was lining up the mate switch with this other guy. And she perceived those benefits as outweighing the sexual benefits she was getting from you with the better sex. Now, sometimes too, there's this one offshoot that kind of is not quite mate switching theory and not quite the other one, but it's more of a revenge cheat. This is where a girl is angry and she wants to the primary guy, usually a guy who is her sexual best, but not always. But the primary guy that she's with isn't giving her what she wants for whatever reason, or perhaps he's cheated on her and now she's going to cheat out of revenge. This gives her her power back. Well, it all goes back to that universal hypothesis still, that unifying theory, because she perceives the benefit of the power and the self esteem boost that she'll get from sex with this other guy, whether he's better sexually or not. To get that revenge, she perceives that revenge as being better and more of a benefit to her than the cost of getting that revenge. So that's what caused her to make that decision. So now for those of you guys who questioned my last video, who want to understand more why a woman cheated, it has to do with how she mate selects in general, how she chooses to have sex in general, and the universal hypothesis of sexual selection, which is related to Brafalt's law, that cost benefit analysis, that explains everything. Okay. Because it explains why a girl might do one thing or another thing. All right. And things like hypergamy, like that's real and that's important. Things like strategic pluralism, those things are real. And even in some cases, although much lower percentage, mate switching is true too. And revenge cheating is true too. Okay. Women still are being driven by this cost benefit analysis. This is why the scientific community can seem to be into conflicting theories and confused, because sometimes one reason she does something isn't the same as a reason she does something else at a different time, or why one woman might do something and another woman might do something, right? It's hard to determine from a species predictive perspective, right? From an evolutionary perspective, what's going to drive the behavior. If we see it as a perceived cost benefit analysis with a risk versus a reward, then it all starts to make sense. Now you can start to use that empathy to understand the girl you're dealing with, to understand her motivations and drives, and to understand why. Why would she perceive the benefit of doing this decision over something else, right? Or why is she not sleeping with me? Why does she perceive the cost of sleeping with me as higher than the benefit? Do I need to elevate the benefit through my seduction skills by making her feel more of a benefit for us to potentially go in that direction? Or do I need to reduce the cost? Maybe there's fears and concerns, or maybe I need to do both, right? And so it'll help direct how you interact with somebody and help understand the woman that you're dealing with. Now, going back to the second scenario, the 3-date scenario, it's the same thing. Maybe when she had a one night stand, she was younger and she wasn't interested in a relationship with that guy, and she was on vacation or she was somewhere where she just wasn't thinking of the costs. And so she slept with a guy on a one night stand, but now she's with you and she's a little bit older and she's thinking of long-term relationship. She wants long-term success and she doesn't want to throw in sex too early because maybe her previous experiences caused her to be devalued by other men and by her friends and by whatever if she gave up sex too early. So she's trying to hold off on having sex. Maybe she has a different moral perspective about sex than she did before. There's all kinds of reasons, but for some reason, she's perceiving sex with you as more of a cost than the benefit of having sex with you. Whereas previously, she perceived the benefit as higher than the cost. And that's why she had sex earlier with other people. Okay. Well, she's still demonstrating attraction and desire for you, but she just is not sleeping with you yet on that third date or whatever, right? Well, is it because you're not attractive enough? It could be. Maybe the benefit was so far elevated with other more attractive men. And maybe then you need to consider if you want to keep dating her, if she doesn't find you that attractive guy, maybe you should pick another guy, a girl, pick a different girl who would find you attractive, right? Or maybe it's your seduction skills aren't as good and you need to elevate those skills so that she can see you as attractive and see that benefit as being better than the cost or the risk. Or perhaps it doesn't have really much to do with your attraction as it does the perceived risk. Maybe she had experiences that have happened along the way that causes her to perceive the risk of sleeping with you too quickly as being something that is greater than the benefit she would get from the sex. Maybe her sexual experiences have all been bad. That's very common. Most women think they're having good sex and then they real until they actually get with a guy who can deliver good sex. So most women are out there having bad sex, even with lots of sex partners and lots of notches. Most of these women who even the ones who sleep with a lot of guys are actually not having really great sex with high intensity orgasms and a feeling, that warm, like good feeling of attachment and all those things that can come with good sex. Most women aren't having that. Okay. So like maybe she doesn't perceive the gain of sex with you because she's had mostly subpar sex as being worth whatever risk she perceives. You see what I'm saying? So this is a question you have to ask yourself and you have to look at your situation, whether you're being cheated on or whether you're dating a girl and you're wondering why she's not sleeping with you. You got to look at this universal law and ask yourself the question: what is her perceived cost? What is her perceived risk? And what is her perceived benefits? And that's going to give you the answer for that particular girl as to why she isn't sleeping with you yet, or maybe why she would sleep with you. Thanks again. You know what to do. Help the channel out, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.